can you defend the following sequels that this one blogger claims are underrated in his list of the 10 most underrated sequels of all time?
Who's that girl, too? Okay, no, sorry.
No. Number 10, The Lost World. Speaking of Jurassic Park, the sequel to The Lost World. He says, hang on. He says, don't get me wrong, this is the foreplay, Dean. When I'm done here, you can give us the climax.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, this is a deeply flawed film, but it has its merits. I enjoyed its set pieces and how it pitted animal conservationists against animal hunters. Right now, I am thinking more of its bad elements. Jeff Goldblum's clearly completely blank. No, I'm sorry, I'm not being able to read. Jeff Goldblum's clearly completely black biological daughter, but I did get caught up in the film every time I watch it. Obviously, this dude's not a critic, or he's not a very good writer, and I'm not a very good reader. So, what do you say about The Lost World?
Is that the third one or the second one?
That's the second one.
Second.
Oh. No, it was terrible. The third one was pretty good, though, I thought. The one with William H. Macy.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by Joe Johnston. Right?
Joe Johnston.
I thought the third one is Joe Johnston's actually looking like a fairly okay sort of second-tier director these days now to me. But
those Spielberg proteges, and Zemeckis is among them. They really faltered for a while there. I mean, Johnston, Joe Dante. I mean, they came out of the gate swinging in the 80s with 80s stuff, early 90s stuff. And then they went through a blank period, really.
Right.
They did. But I vote no on Lost World.
Okay.
I think it's a
Jerry,
bore.
do you feel the same?
I think at the time, what I found out, it tried so hip with the casting and everything to be of the moment. Very hip casting and everything. But it was. There are parts I liked, but it was just overall just felt like just really cashing in on the first one. But
I feel like Spielberg's heart wasn't in it.
No, it wasn't. It was very
I feel like post Schindler's List. And what was the movie? He had Amistad that year,
Amistad,
right?
yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like he probably felt to himself, why the hell am I making another dinosaur movie?
Yeah.
And you feel like that watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
But it's still, I mean...
And it feels rushed.
But it still has, like, the great Spielberg framing and the activity within the frame. I mean, that's what I cherish most about Spielberg movies. Just the blocking of the actors, just the perfect timing of the movements, and
the way things are edited, the way his editor, Michael Kahn, edits and puts things together and stuff is also always really good. And of course the scores and stuff like that. So.
Number 9, Superman 3. How could you possibly defend Superman 3? The one with Richard Pryor, this guy writes, who is pretty much the only reason this is so good. This is so good.
So good?
It's goofy and really daft in places, but it still manages to entertain.
Now, if Gene Wilder was in it with Richard Pryor, then I might say it would have been a good movie, but no.
That one is just I'm not even going to bother with.
Yeah, I really have no opinion one way or the other. I mean,
Gene Wilder as Superman with Richard
Gene
Pryor?
Wilder, they were both were villains. Like if it was a sequel to Silver Streak or Stir Crazy.
Yeah. Was it like red, white, and blue, red, yellow, and blue streak? Is that what it was? Batman Forever, Joel Schumacher. Oh, God. Who is this guy? Joel Schumacher's third film in the series. Yes, that's right. I think it's the best Batman of the franchise. I think it's fun, energetic, incredibly visual. But most of all, I like it because it treated Batman how it was supposed to be treated, like a frickin' comic book, unlike the more recent Dark Knight, which treats something that is so overwhelmingly fantasy as something that is gritty and realistic.
This person is...
Wow.
What is this guy, too?
Going on this list. keep going down. I want to hear
this. This is the kind of blogger that gives film bloggers, that can give film bloggers a bad name.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, like so far, okay.
Alien 3.
You can defend this. This is easy to defend
now. This is defensible.
Okay. This one, I don't know why it's on the list, because this has always been, well, not Alien 3. I'm going to the next one. I haven't rewatched Alien 3 in a long time, so I don't know. And there are people that defend the fourth one, and I do remember the fourth one, and I wasn't crazy about that one either. But this next one on the list, I like. This next one is actually my favorite of the series, and that's Lethal Weapon 2.
I agree.
Why
with
is
that.
this on the list? Why?
Everyone
loves this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not an underrated sequel. That's everybody will tell you that the second one is the best one out of the whole series.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
It has one of the greatest. I mean, he has the knife in his leg and is still fighting. It's just incredible.
Diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls. I mean, better or worse than the first one? I mean, can you tell? Can anyone really tell?
The first one is charming. I think the thing about the first one is it never dawned on me that the first one would be as popular as it turned out to be. That caught me off guard.
Well, wasn't that his first huge hit?
It was his first big. But I mean, it just caught me off guard. When we went to the movie theater, and that was packed, and I was just like, "Are you serious?" I mean,
yeah, big movie. I have a story about that movie.
I have to admit that first movie made me. There was a couple of moments in it where it made me laugh so hard, I had a headache.
Oh yeah, there's some funny moments in that movie. Actually, a lot of funny moments in that movie.
The opening night of Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, full packed house. The movie print falls off the platter, tangles all to hell. We have to cancel the shows for the rest of the night. I essentially have to re-splice that movie. I have to re-edit that movie because it's all in tangles. That's what happened to me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Man, I'm very sorry.
I think I made it funnier.
My theater had to do that with JFK.
Oh shit!
God.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Which was infinitely worse.
So people walked out of that movie thinking Kennedy was still alive. All right. Number 4, Die Hard with a Vengeance. I will defend Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh yeah,
the second best one in the series.
I agree.
So.
I love Die Hard with a Vengeance. Actually, I would say it's one of the great action movies of the 90s. I mean, that's like
has a great
bruised
villain.
Forearm action. Yeah.
An awesome villain. They bring Sam Jackson in too. I mean, it's just all around a great movie. I mean,
yeah, it is.
And Willis portraying him, McClane is just like in the first set. He's so pathetic. And you can't help but feel sorry for him and root for him. That's what always made McClane such a interesting character, because he's very human. And it's
also one of the last times he still had his hair.
Yeah,
which I think is great.
Yes.
Oh God. Okay.
You know what, guys? I'm losing my hair. I'm looking at a picture of Bruce Willis now on the poster of Die Hard with a Vengeance, and I'm thinking, all right, so that's a hairstyle I could probably pull off if my hair falls out. You know,
okay.
I can still look like Bruce Willis.
Okay. All right.
I don't even worry about that because I shaved my head.
Okay, this
on a
list
regular
is really bad. What's next?
I'm talking about on my neck, above my neck. Number 3 is The Godfather Part 3. You'll like that, Jerry. There you go.
I have no, and I think it's actually that film has aged pretty well. People really, it is finding its. People do appreciate it. You will find people. I mean, I think it's fine. Let's go like this. It's better than what the alternatives would have been. I think people have to really look at the history of that project, and when you see what they're thinking about doing with it, they did the best that they could. And it's a very personal movie from Coppola, if you think about it. Incredibly personal film.
And actually, when you go back and look at it now, as I did, I think maybe a couple of years ago, the Sofia Coppola part doesn't really offend you as much as it did me a long time ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
it didn't really do that to me. I think, all right, if Winona Ryder had done it, the whole argument was, oh, there would have been this great love story. That's really not
true.
I think that's not true. It was never a selling point of especially of that movie. It would not have been. I don't think that would have gotten more people in the theater. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean I didn't miss a love story from the first two movies.
Yeah. So I didn't see how they thought that would be anything.
Yeah. Where was that great love story in the second movie?
But
the relationship between Kay and Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Is great, and that's some of the strongest stuff in the third one too.
That it is
the confrontation they have sitting across from each other, where they finally kind of come to terms with their
and then it all falls apart again. That's the beautiful scene. That's a beautiful scene.
It really is. Pacino's take on the movie is he doesn't think that Michael should have sought redemption. He doesn't buy that character would go to that place, or that people would want to see Michael Corleone. Seek redemption.
That's the thing. I think people. It really depends in part where you come down on what he does, how he handles the whole Fredo situation. If you think he was right, obviously you're not going to buy this whole thing in part 3. And actually, there's a huge article when the movie premiered in Sicily in the Washington Post that the Sicilians had a lot of trouble with this, just thinking he just did not, the character was just so vicious that he did not deserve redemption. And the whole idea that he would seek redemption, they didn't buy. So it's a very good point that he brings up about that.
Dean, did you just step in a wind tunnel? What's going on?
I'm walking inside real quick.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah, and there's a huge fan in here.
Okay. Number 2 is Back to the Future Part 3.
Actually, people like that one.
Another movie that's not underrated. You know.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, that's a film that got good notices when it came out.
Much better than the second one. I mean.
Well, do you prefer the third one over the second one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like either one of them. Crispin Glover
I would have left it alone after the first one, but the need to try. I mean, at least it salvages something. But the first one is in a class by itself. It's very hard to top.
Golly, Dean, what's going on? Are you cleaning your oven? What's going on?
No, I'm getting out of here. I had something on the stove for a second.
I can't wait to hear the first. I have a horrible feeling what I think the first one may be.
Oh no, it's not. It's nothing controversial.
Okay.
Let me just say this about Back to the Future Part 2. Crispin Glover wasn't in that. I thought I remembered him in that.
I don't. I honestly, it's been so long since I've seen anything. I have no idea.
See, but I think they used his likeness or digitally alter like an image of him from the first one and place him in the second one.
Right.
Which was controversial. Crispin Glover said they didn't give him a chance to actually be in the second one, and he wanted to.
Right.
I think he sued them because they used his likeness but didn't ask him to participate.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that now.
Crispin Glover, my God. But
I just watched Bartleby finally over the weekend. Wow. That was an interesting movie.
River's Edge and Wild at Heart. That's all you need to know about Crispin Glover.
River's Edge is magnificent.
Hey, wait a minute. No, you're forgetting about Ruben and Ed. Ruben and Ed is still his greatest
Wow, that's a name I haven't heard in so long. Wow.
Ruben and Ed is seriously one of the funniest freaking movies I've ever seen in my life. And it's pure Crispin Glover, like right down, I mean, every moment, that he's in it is just like, wow, this is just the essence of Crispin Glover, totally. So...
The essence of Crispin Glover. If that were scent, what would it smell like?
Stale pizza and cardboard? I don't know. I don't know.
I say shoe leather and I don't know, Seabreeze.
Seabreeze. Shoe Leather and Seabreeze, which is actually the title of his next movie, ironically enough. I don't know. He says the movie that he gets approached about the most is Wild at Heart because, Del with the cockroaches in his underwear. I mean, that's a pretty indelible character.
Right.
Number one choice is Wayne's World 2 for this guy.
Really? I mean, it was fun. I mean, it was just kind of like, it was a footnote, really, but it was fun. But I don't remember people, like, bashing it or anything. It came and went, Wow.
Oh, was Kim Basinger in that? Who was in that?
Christopher Walken was in that.
Hi.
Yeah, he was great. Everybody was in that, but
you're interrupting my Christopher Walken impression, dude. What are you doing?
I loved your Christopher Walken impression. I thought it was Christopher Walken.
Hi.
Oh no. I prefer my sequels list on Filmicability. I think that has a lot of underrated sequels on it.
This is very pedestrian. This list.
So tell me some of the picks, because I know the second I go to your site, my computer will freeze again.
Well, I don't happen to be in front of my computer. Can you give me a second before I go?
No, just give me like memory. What are a few of the titles that you think are underrated sequels?
Oh Lucky Man.
That's a great movie.
Which is a sequel to Lindsay Anderson's If.
Mm-hmm.
I would consider that the most underrated sequel. Gosh, I wish I was there at the computer to tell you. I can't remember many of them. I know, but I have to. I mean, the reason I write these things is so I'll have them for memory for forever. So.
I agree with you about A Lucky Man.
Yeah. What else is really good?
Predator 2?
Predator 2? Oh, God.
No, but that's not too bad,
Danny Glover kicking Predator ass?
What about Addams Family Values?
I don't remember that movie at all.
I have no memory of it at all either.
I loved the scene at the camp where they turned the tables on the counselors. That was funny. All right, never mind. I'm going to shut up now.
Oh, yeah, when she gets her throat cut or something in the talent show that was funny.
Yeah, that's really the great set piece of that movie.
Yeah. Well, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
No, it was a further reminder of just how I don't know whether it's a reminder that we're getting old or it just really was like watching paint dry after a while.
Hot Shots Part 2.
Here we go. Here's some more underrated ones for me.
Right.
I would go with A Shot in the Dark, which is the first sequel to the Pink Panther.
It's funnier than the Pink Panther. I mean, it
is.
It's insane. I mean, that movie is insane.
I would also posit Magnum Force, the sequel to Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
Biloxi Blues, the sequel to Brighton Beach Memoirs.
So far, these are all aces, man.
Biloxi Blues, huh?
Speaking of Christopher Walken.
It's the only movie of that series that actually works.
Give me 50 push-ups.
You're absolutely right, Dean. It is the one that really, of all, I actually think of most Neil Simon, that's probably one of the best filmed of his plays, really.
Get on your knees,
if you want the honest truth. Excuse me?
Get on your knees, soldier.
I don't know if that's working. Also, I would throw
Hang
out
on,
there,
dude. I want to give you musical accompaniment for the remainder of your list. Hang on. All right.
This is a great list.
All right.
I wish we did this list instead of the other guys. I mean,
when the music starts, you can continue on your list. All right. Here you go. Go ahead.
Well, also Babe Pig in the City from 1998.
Yeah, and people really dismiss that unfairly, and it was so good. I mean, really well done.
Also, The French Connection 2, John Frankenheimer's sequel to The French Connection.
Right.
1975. This is not really underrated, but because I think everybody recognizes it's really good. But Gremlins 2, The New Batch.
This is a really good satire.
I am a big fan of Big Top Pee-wee, Randall Kleiser's sequel to the Tim Burton film.
Yeah, that's a different. It's a different vibe from the Tim Burton film. I mean, I think that's what people didn't really appreciate at the time. It's just a different vibe.
Is Big Top Pee-wee post Sarasota Film Theater?
What do you mean?
Did it come after the adult theater in Sarasota incident?
Oh,
no, it's before. It was still before.
Yeah.
A couple of years before.
Also, I would throw out there The Drowning Pool, which is...
Isn't it ironic that Blow came after that, though?
Yeah, it is. It is weird. It is weird. I wouldn't have done a movie called Blow.
No, I wouldn't either. It's like doing a movie called Jerk after you've been caught in that situation.
Right.
You just don't do it.
I would throw out there The Drowning Pool, Stuart Rosenberg's 75 sequel to Harper.
Paul Newman. Yeah.
Those are good. Yeah.
And finally, I would throw out. Well, I got two more actually. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. J. Lee Thompson's 1970.
That's the fourth one.
Yeah. And then Shock Treatment, the sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's a bold choice, Shock Treatment. Why Conquest? Out of curiosity,
I feel that Conquest has a certain feel all of its own that's really unusual. I think it's the one movie that actually seems to comment on how life was at the time that it was made.
Absolutely.
And I think it's the one movie that gets closest to making a commentary about race relations than any of the others.
Remember, in the theaters at that time, people were chanting out ape power at certain theaters. People were very into it. I'm not joking. They were very in. People took to heart what that movie was saying, and they had to change the ending. The original ending is far more violent, and they said they had to change the film after that. They had to tone down Battle of the Planet of the Apes because at the time, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes was considered a very violent film, and they had to tone it down for the next one. And the next one gets a bad rap, but you understand why they did what they had to do. But no, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes is just like that was the perfect remake of Planet of the Apes where they just reversed the roles.
Right.
And it was in the scene where Harry Rhodes confronts Caesar, Roddy McDowall in that tunnel, and he speaks to him. As much as I think this new one is going to be good, I don't think you're going to have anything as powerful as that in the remake.
And the image of all of the apes in those red jumpsuits or whatever, like rioting and like amongst this like weird sort of quasi-futuristic but yet still 70s looking kind of
a 1991
city or whatever
never came to be.
Yeah. that just and plus they're all protesting at night, so they're all night scenes and stuff. It's like it just creates like a visual look that's pretty stunning, I think.
Yeah.
And
so the story of the apes is a parable for racial inequality.
Yes, it is. That's the big thing.
That's not like an offensive connotation.
No, it's not. It was actually the whole thing. The whole series. There's a great book written by Eric Green, Planet of the Apes as American Myth, and it goes into all of this. But this is the stuff that people were talking about at the time that the movies came out. Now, of course, what was the guy's name? Zanuck. They interviewed for that documentary that came out with the box set back in the late 90s. And
Daryl Zanuck, producer?
Yeah, one of the kids.
It's probably Richard Zanuck.
Yeah, Richard Zanuck, one of the kids. He said, I never saw any of the symbolism in it, but if you say so, sure. But yeah,
he's a producer. I mean, he doesn't need to see anything.
Yeah, he doesn't. They made money.
His signature on the checks. Yeah.
But
anyway, next Friday. Speaking of which, next Friday. Is that a good sequel?
It could be.
I never
the sequel to Friday.
To tell you the truth.
Oh, for next Friday?
I never watched it.
Okay. All right. Here's another choice. Are you guys ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is typically considered the weakest of this trilogy. Tell me if you agree. Wait for it. It's coming. I'm Chip Martindale. Good evening. No. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. Underrated?
The
first part of it is really good.
It's two movies it's two movies. That's the problem. It's actually like two very different
completely separate movies.
Yeah, I mean they're both very interesting stories, but they never really gel together.
I agree completely.
But it's a good movie, but it's hard to top The Road Warrior. It's really hard to top that movie, and I think it's. You notice he had to bring in. It's directed by two people. I think. What did they bring in the other guy for? For the children's scenes, I think actually.
George Miller's not good with kids.
But I'm not sure. But it was the first time I think I remember seeing a movie directed by two people.
Karate Kid Part 2.
It's better than the third one.
See, I like Karate Kid Part 2 almost as much as I like Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
Is that troubling, Dean?
I think Dean is...
Have I gone too far?
I just find it a little boring, like that movie, and just that series in general is sort of boring to me, really. Like, even when the original came out, I wasn't one of those people that was swept away by, the general love of that original film.
Because it was life-affirming. Is that what you're saying? You typically stay away from...
life-affirming.
No, I love life-affirming movies. I love them, but they just have to, smack of reality a little bit to me,
right.
And that's just not a movie that does that to me.
I think 30 Minutes or Less will be a life-affirming movie. But okay. I'm serious. Okay, never mind.
Matrix Revolutions. Is that under? Hey. Underrated Matrix Revolutions, the third in the trilogy.
Oh, completely awful. One of the worst movie-going experiences of all time. Absolutely terrible. Agree,
Jerry, or disagree?
I think here's the thing with the Reloaded and Revolutions. I think they had enough interesting material to make a really one solid sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish they kind of would have done that and then waited to see, because I think there are interesting ideas and plots going on in both films, but it feels like because they this desire to film them back to back, that they really dropped the ball big time.
My feeling is, and I've only seen the movies once.
Mm-hmm.
My feeling is the third one might be a lot better than people feel it is, because people were so soured on the second one.
That's true. That's a good point.
That actually was not my. That actually is still not my reason for saying that. The second one is just a big mishmash of a lot of noise, which is my number one thing that I hate in movies, when they just throw everything in the kitchen sink at you, and it's just like that huge dance scene that's in it.
Mm-hmm.
The last 45 minutes, which is nothing but a huge battle that keeps on going on forever and ever, and just all that stuff with the secondary characters that I don't really care about. Like, there's that one guy that has the wife, and you're supposed to care about that and all that kind of stuff. I'm just like, ugh, who cares? It's like, where's Neo? And he's like, it feels like he's nowhere in that movie.
there's a great like disc DVD that came out in between the Animatrix, with all these animated shorts. I actually thought those were better than either movie as a whole. But I think the first one is an incredible film. The first one,
no question.
But it is a shame how they also, there's a lot of hubris, and one of my best friends worked on both of those films, and there was a lot of hubris going into that second one. They thought basically they couldn't fail. I mean, Joel Silver, I think it was an interview in Wire magazine, said, we set the bar so high there's no bar anymore. So when you can only go down after you start thinking like that, and it's a shame, because it would have been interesting to see. I would love those films to have been great. I mean, those brothers did something that no one thought was possible. They really stole the Phantom. The Phantom Menace was a bad movie to begin with, but they stole, a month before that came out, really stole the thunder. Star Wars, and that was on that no one could have ever guessed that at the time, and it was quite a feat. And everyone going into it, the second one, there were such high hopes, and just you start automatically after the first screenings or whatever, people were just like, it's awful on this, and people didn't even stay to see the trailer for Revolutions that showed afterwards, and I mean.
I remember going to see it opening night, and it was a Thursday screening. It was like one of those 10 p.m. or midnight deals the day before it opened for the general public, and there was such excitement, and you could just feel it all deflate. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Kind of like the last Indiana Jones movie.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
That's a one-of-a-kind feeling when you're in a movie you're excited to see, and like 10 minutes in, you can like feel just all of the air being sucked out of the room by people's disappointment. That's just like a one-of-a-kind. Yeah. The only thing that's comparable to that is being in an audience at a comedy club and being there watching a comic that no one's laughing at. It's like, that's the only thing that comes close to that.
Well, if you've ever been with a beautiful woman and you can't perform, I would think that.
I knew that was coming up. Well,
I know that feeling, guys. Believe me.
Don't worry, you're not alone there.
All right.
Another underrated sequel, Day of the Dead. I like the third Dead movie.
What is that? Is that the shop? That's not the shopping mall. That's Dawn of the Dead.
That's Dawn of the Dead, the second one. That's the Day of the Dead is the one that takes. Where does it take place again? In a base?
It takes place at like a scientist compound or whatever. It's where all the zombies are being kept and studied to see if they have any kind of intelligence or can be taught anything. And then that's what
Romero needs to do. Romero needs to go back and make another zombie movie. He hasn't made enough of those.
Oh, God.
It's true.
And there are people who like Survival of the Dead a lot. It just felt like and even though I watched it on demand, I got to be honest, it just felt like I was watching a made-for-TV movie.
There's just a shortage of Dead movies on his resume.
He needs to do Wedding of the Dead, Bar Mitzvah of the Dead.
He's been far too consumed with, being versatile and all that kind of stuff. I think he really needs to go back to his roots and just focus on repeating the same thing that made him famous 40, 50 years ago.
I would love to see him make another movie like Martin.
Wouldn't that be great if he would just do something
and cast Martin Lawrence? That would be a great modern take on that film.
You merge that in Big Mama's House, huh?
That's what you tell people. Like, I loved his Martin, and they think you're talking about the sitcom. Martin?
Yeah.
No, totally different, man.
Nobody's seen that movie.
I honestly couldn't. I honestly don't know why they haven't remade that with vampires all the rage now.
No, God.
Don't
give them any ideas, Jamie.
I mean, this is a late 70s George Romero movie that's actually pretty darn effective. I mean, it's about a kid that thinks he's a vampire, and when he breaks in and he attacks people, he brings razor blades with him so you can slice them and then suck their blood. It's honestly disturbing.
Knocks them out. He actually knocks them out with some kind of sodium pentothal or something, right beforehand.
That's what you have. That's what you got to do. Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, they should remake that. I think that would be a prime. That would be a great, Well,
not remake it, but I think he just needs to. I would love to see him go back and make some. I mean, he's got. I mean, I think he does have. I think the last two Dead movies have shown. I actually think Land of the Dead is all right, but even obviously the how shall we say it, the stretch marks are there. But I think enough with the Dead movies, but I think obviously there's other stuff. I'd love to see him adapt another Stephen King book or something. That would be neat.
Honestly, I'm being facetious. I would love for him never to make another Dead movie.
I knew you were being facetious.
Yeah,
I think everyone knew that. I think all.
I wouldn't even want him to make a documentary on the Grateful Dead. I want him to stay away from anything resembling it.